Hey fam, and welcome to the Happily Ever Active podcast, powered by Fit for the Magic, where Disney magic meets health and wellness. I'm Stephen Kabibi, your friendly personal healthcare companion, and I help travelers like you physically prep for your next vacation so that you can walk more, enjoy longer days, and make magical memories without burnout. This week, I sat down to talk with my good friends at Mouse Minutes Podcast, Jordan and Whitney, to talk about the top 10-ish sneaky ways you're getting extra steps at Disney World. You're going to want to listen to this one because there were so many hidden gems that I did not think of that made you get more steps at Disney World. And actually, we mentioned a little bit of Disneyland. And if you are looking for a walking program to physically prepare for your next Disney trip, stay tuned to the end of this show for details on my 30-day Disney walking challenge. Find everything, including my pocketbook guide, Disney Ready, your pain-free park survival guide, over at fitforthemagic.com. And if you learned something useful on this episode, please share the show and tell a friend. Okay, here we go. All right, I am excited to introduce my guests for today's episode, Jordan and Whitney from the Mouse Minutes podcast. Not only are they great podcasters, but they're also great friends. So welcome to the episode, y'all.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much, Steven. We're so stoked to be here.
I'm really happy to have you guys here because at being Disney World park goers yourselves and going to the Disney parks fairly regularly, I knew that you would be great guests to chime in on this particular topic of the sneaky ways that you're going to be getting more steps in your day at Disney World. One of the biggest and most common pieces of advice when people ask how to survive the Disney parks is to take breaks, take rest days, take rest breaks throughout the day, find ways to save energy and recover so you can keep walking, right?
Yeah.
But yes, finding any way to save energy through breaks is going to be really important, especially if you want to spend the entire day at Disney or spend the entire week at Disney. But what about how to save more energy from all the sneaky ways that you're getting those extra steps, right?
Yeah.
So today we're going to be discussing our top 10-ish sneaky ways you're getting extra steps at Disney World so you can save energy and enjoy longer days at Disney. What makes today's episode special is I sent this prompt to Jordan and Whitney not that long ago, but
16 minutes ago.
No. He
17 and a half.
He did a couple of days ago. Sure. Just as much as we prepare for our own.
Yeah. About 16 seconds.
No.
Well, that's impressive. So anyways, I sent the prompt to them and we had not discussed any of our answers to this. Maybe they've discussed their answers with each other. I definitely have not discussed with them. So whatever we're going to talk about is whatever we're going to talk about. We might share the same answers. We might not. So this is going to be a really good discussion.
Yes. Awesome.
All right. Cool. So with you guys being my guests, I would love for one of you to go first. Doesn't matter who. Maybe Whitney.
I'll go.
The ladies? Yeah, of course.
Pick me.
Please.
Okay.
By all means.
So my first one that came to mind was parking the stroller. So we have 2 kids. For those of you that don't know, we have 2 kids, so we're in stroller season. And so the places where you're parking the stroller is most of the time not right outside of the attraction. So sometimes I will use Pirates, for example. You actually park your stroller over by the Tiki Room, like right outside of the Tiki Room.
Yeah.
And Pirates is, not a long ways, but you have to walk a little bit. So if you walk all the way to Pirates, you're like, oh man, you have to turn around and go all the way back. So that happens often, especially if you don't know where stroller parking is. That's one that I feel like a way that you can get some extra steps in just not knowing those things. And then also coming back to find your stroller, maybe moved, which happens.
Happens almost every time, yeah.
Not just from guests, but sometimes cast members have to move strollers for efficiency, right?
Yes, exactly. And
or just strong Central Florida winds. Yeah.
That's got to be it.
That's it. That's probably
it's like the pre-thunderstorm winds.
That's right.
No.
No, it's
Okay,
the cast member.
so I will say a quick story. We were on Tomorrowland Speedway, and I was like, I don't know where the parking is. I'm just parking my stroller here. I don't care. Parked it just outside. I came back, could not find the stroller anywhere. I was like walking to the teacups, couldn't find it over there. I was walking over to like People Mover. I'm like, where did they put it? I think that happened at the Elsa show too. Anyways, they ended up, I clearly need to like obey the rules, but they ended up moving it to like where the typical parking is. So I think if that's something that you're not sure where your stroller is supposed to be parked, maybe ask a cast member and they can show you where, because if you don't park it in the right spot, you're going to have to go hunting for it later. Or do like a little, what are those things called? Those Apple tags?
Yeah,
Get an Apple tag.
Air tags.
An air tag. You're not like running.
Air
I was
tag it.
seriously like, someone stole my stroller. Where did it go? They didn't
That's
steal
really
it.
smart. That's really smart to have that air tag. That way you know exactly where you're going to be going. As a future parent, I'm going to definitely be planning for all the little
File
details.
save.
Yes.
Yeah, file
Yes.
save.
You've saved me so much time.
And sometimes it's like it's not on the way to your next spot, right?
Yeah,
So like
yeah.
like I said with the example of Pirates, if you put it out front of the Tiki Room and then you go on Pirates and then you want to go to Tiana, you got to walk it's not that far, but you have to go back to the Tiki Room, get your stroller, and then, sometimes it's like, hey, you will get the stroller, like I'll get the kids off the ride. But it is extra walking that's just kind of unintentional.
Yeah, or at least if anything, because it's not really unavoidable as a parent, but it's definitely something you can plan for.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a blog post in the future somewhere, or like some sort of, I don't know, something to add to the website of, I don't know, maps of stroller parking, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where not to park.
I think too, even just, having, if you have one or multiple kids, then being able to, if you forget something that's in the stroller, or even just something, if you're visiting, if you're visiting a cast member, or if you're visiting a character and you're wanting to get something signed or something like that, and there's often times where you forget something at the stroller, and so someone's walking back, and again, those are just added steps that you don't anticipate, especially if the stroller is far away and that person wasn't the one to park it, so they're searching for it too. So
that happens.
Oh
yeah,
my gosh,
I feel like
yeah.
that happens at least
Totally
a few
makes
times every
sense.
trip.
Jordan, what do you have on your list?
My first one, I picked
oh yeah.
coffee in the dining hall in the morning. So, it's like you can make coffee in your room, but I, a lot of times early in the morning, even before my family's awake, I'll just go and get coffee, or maybe sometimes I'll even bring my computer and do some work in the lobby or in the dining hall before everyone wakes up. And so I feel like, I end up spending having a couple trips back and forth from my room. And depending on which resort we're staying at, that can be a pretty long walk from the room to the dining hall. And so I feel like even before we hit the parks or hit transportation to go to the parks, I've done a good amount of walking from the room to the lobby or to the dining hall, at least once, maybe sometimes a couple times round trip.
Yeah, and that actually, if you don't mind, that goes off of one more that I have.
Yeah.
It says where the room is in the resort, where your room is in the resort, can make a huge difference for how much you're walking. For example, what you're talking about. If you're on the outskirts, let's say you didn't pay for a preferred room and you weren't gifted with pixie dust, a preferred room, then you are going to be on the outskirts. It is going to be harder. So that's something to consider if you are staying at a resort and you want to be closer to that, and maybe minimize the walking from to and from. That's an option to either request or pay for a preferred room so you're a little bit closer.
Yeah,
I love this because this touches on like 4 of the things on my list. So I think I'm going to combine everything.
Great minds think
Let's
alike.
Let's knock them out. So one, like, Jordan, what you described is perfect because I tend to do the same thing. So whether or not you're staying at a deluxe, a moderate, or a value resort also can change whether or not you're going to be getting coffee at the main food area, right? Because if you're at a deluxe resort or sometimes a moderate resort, I think it depends on the resort, you'll have a balcony. So if you don't want to wake anyone else up, you can make your coffee in the room using the K-cup or whatever coffee maker they have, and then hang out on the balcony to do whatever work you want to do.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you're at a value resort, you don't have that balcony of a luxury, so you have to go to get that coffee elsewhere. Whitney, you mentioned preferred rooms. Like, yeah, absolutely, because that puts you closer to the central area or sometimes even closer to like the bus stop, which brings me into my next like 3 or 4 points. The bus stops, depending on which resort you're at, might be a longer walk from your room. So, for example, at most of the value resorts, we're talking like All Stars, Art of Animation, Pop Century, all the bus stops are in one central location, but the resorts are spread out over several buildings. So, for example, if you're staying at Art of Animation and you're in a building that's farther away from the main bus stop, that means a longer walk to get to the bus stop before you go to your park.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
And Art of Animation has the Skyliner too. So, I mean, that could mean the same thing. You might have a longer walk to get to your Skyliner to go to EPCOT or Hollywood Studios.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're like in the Little Mermaid area at Art of Animation, you're kind of out of the way of both of them.
Exactly. Exactly. So on top of that, if we're going to talk about moderate and deluxe resorts, there's some of those resorts where there's going to be a lot of walking too to get to your bus stop. The ones that come to mind, the really big obvious ones are going to be like Coronado Springs, both Port Orleans, Riverside, and French Quarter.
Port Orleans.
Caribbean Beach, Old Key West for sure, and Saratoga Springs. Like all of those are so spread out, and they have multiple bus stops. But sometimes the bus stop isn't necessarily close to your room, so you still have to do that extra walking, even though it's technically convenient to have multiple bus stops. It's just a lot more.
Yeah.
And you know what else I do sometimes? And this is like a fun little tip. If you know the bus route of where things pick up and drop off, sometimes if we're staying, like for Caribbean Beach, for example, we're staying in one location. Martinique is the first pickup. So sometimes we'll walk to that one because by the time it would get to our bus stop, it would be full and you would have to wait.
Don't tell them about that.
Nope.
I'm just
kidding. So that's also extra steps.
Yes.
Sometimes I'm going to the first stop. I'm walking a little bit further so I don't have to wait longer for the bus because the first bus is going to be full. So little tip, but also another sneaky way that those steps come in,
Yeah, totally. Great.
Yeah, and you know what? This is fair game too to bring up the extra standing that you're going to do because yes, a lot of people feel like they're fairly prepared for all the walking, but a lot of times it's all that standing that you do that adds up and, makes your back feel a little bit more uncomfortable. So standing extra time at the bus stop, like a story I have that comes to mind is this must have been right when Disney World was coming back from COVID. So it was 2020. And we stayed at Old Key West Resort. We were planning to go to Magic Kingdom in the morning. We got to our bus stop, must have been like 45 minutes before the park was supposed to open, which is like decent timing.
Yeah.
But because we were coming back from COVID, there was still a lot of social distancing happening and you couldn't sit, they were limiting how many people were getting into the bus, which meant even though there were only 20 people waiting at the bus stop, that really meant 3 buses to wait for because they couldn't fit all 20 people in one bus, right? So we ended up getting into the park like, I don't know, 20 or 30 minutes after rope drop. It was
what a bummer.
Yeah. So that meant, a little extra standing because the bus stop was full of people. And then just waiting extra time.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah. That's happened to us. Obviously, it's happened to us a couple times where the bus is full, and I'm like, you know what? Let's just go to the next stop over. Sometimes it's not more convenient to go to the bus stop that's closer. Yeah.
And then in that case, sometimes, a lot of times, especially if I'm the one standing with our stroller, I end up standing the whole time on the bus, the whole bus ride. So like that's extra standing as well.
Oh, for sure.
The whole ride,
Yeah, that's a good point. We're going to go to the EPCOT resorts. Is that okay?
Yes.
So the EPCOT resorts are really well known because they're called the EPCOT resorts. They're right next to EPCOT, clearly.
Yep.
They're also really close to Hollywood Studios because you got that walkway from the boardwalk that goes all the way down into the Hollywood Studios entrance. Now, so many people talk about how convenient it is to be able to walk to two different parks. What they don't talk about as often is how much walking they're actually doing to get there. So to calculate it out, thanks Google Maps. So from Boardwalk to International Gateway at Epcot is about 0.3 miles. Not bad.
Okay, that's not bad. Yeah.
That's not bad. Boardwalk to Hollywood Studios entrance is about 0.8 miles. So closer to a mile.
Yeah. Almost a whole mile. Yeah.
Beach Club, if you're not one of the lucky ones that are staying like right at the corner of the Beach Club, it's about a quarter of a mile to get to International Gateway. And it's about 1.2 miles to get to Hollywood Studios.
Really?
Wow.
To round it out, I mean, Yacht Club, about the same thing as the Beach Club. The Walt Disney World Swan to International Gateway is about 0.7 miles. And then to Studios is about 0.8 miles. So it's like right in between the two parks.
Interesting.
But I mean, point being, you're getting that extra walk in the morning, but then you're likely going to get that extra walk in the evening. So whatever you end up walking in the parks, you're going to add that at the end of the day. And, if you've got strollers, kids, backpacks to carry, tired feet to begin with, that extra 1 mile to get from Hollywood Studios back to Beach Club can mean a lot to the body.
Yeah, there's kind of a thought that I feel like I've started having as I've gotten a little bit older and a little more conscious about like how tired I get by the end of the day or even by the end of a trip of, am I budgeting kind of like my energy? Yeah, well, like, I could run or even walk from, let's say, Swan to the International Gateway, maybe get there a little bit faster than maybe waiting for the boat or the little ferry that's going to go from there, right? But it's in that case, I'm working harder, maybe not smarter. And by the end of the day, maybe even towards the end of my trip, I've kind of expended too much energy. I think I've kind of I'm becoming a little more cognizant of that, probably also as I'm becoming more out of shape. But it's like one of those things. It's like, okay, should I be working smarter and not harder here? Am I like setting myself up for success, or am I like setting myself up for failure in the long run?
Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Winnie. Yeah.
I was just going to say the other thing too is that like a lot of times people aren't leaving because they're like, okay, so we have another mile to walk. Like we're feeling a little bit tired. Usually people like, I'm tired. Give me back to my room. So they don't have that like budget in mind, if you will, of like,
totally.
I still have another mile to walk, People are just so tired. And then by the time you get back to your room, your body is just like you took it above and beyond where it should go.
It's not like it's a dimmer. It's literally a switch, and you're like, I'm done.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm done. Anyways, before we move on back to you, Whitney, let's go to Animal Kingdom Lodge. Let's talk about Animal Kingdom Lodge.
Oh gosh.
It is notorious for the long hallways. Notorious. Totally. Because, Animal Kingdom Lodge is so well known for the savannah, being able to sleep in a room and then wake up in the morning and see the giraffes walking around. Like, it's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous. Yeah. But in order to make the savannah view work for your room, it means having long hallways that go effectively around the savannah, right? So calculating it out, it can add an extra 4 or 5 minutes from the end of one hallway out to the lobby, which really equates to about a quarter mile.
Holy smokes,
that's incredible.
So we're talking Beach Club to International Gateway or something like that.
Well, and then a child forgets their Mickey ear and Mickey ears, and you're like, sorry, Dad, like
exactly.
You gotta take one for the team. And not only are they walking back, they're running back because the bus is here, and Mom's like, "Come on,
everyone's waiting. Everyone's waiting. Yeah.
Come on, rope drop. Let's go." So sometimes that can add up to a mile real fast,
Absolutely. Oh, man, you just painted that picture so vividly. So yeah, there you go. That's it. That's my 4 points.
I mean, not even just kids. Like, there are plenty of times that I'm like, oh man, my sunglasses. Like, that's the one that I'm like, I can't. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and that's crucial for the sun. Or like, oh, I forgot my sunblock. Dang. Like,
and he's like, I'll do it. I'll go, and you're like, sorry.
Well, it's more like, I'll go get it for you, and I'm skipping down the hallway. Yeah.
And those are the things where you're not just gonna be like, yeah, it's fine. Like, you're gonna be like, all right, I got to do it, you
I
know?
get...
So.
All right, back to you, Whitney.
Okay, next one. Okay, so my next one is when the Skyliner is down.
Oh.
So sometimes, for those of you that are not aware, the Skyliner goes down in thunder and lightning. That's like one of the main reasons it'll go down. And yes, they provide buses for you that are like right around the backside. I'm thinking of International Gateway actually, around the backside. But those are extra steps that you're not expecting. And some people will actually not wait for those buses. They'll walk to the front of the
Epcot resorts?
of Epcot or
Oh,
Epcot.
I see.
Either one. Like, and I think some people just don't know, right? So they're just like, oh no, it's down. Shoot, now I got to walk all the way to the buses. Most of the time, they're going to bring buses in to make it convenient. So number one, wait. Number two, like, yes, I would recommend the resorts before. But that actually brings me to another point that I had on here, was that if you don't know Epcot and you're a newbie to Disney World, that the transportation for the monorail and the buses is in a very different location than the transportation for the Skyliner. So I think people that are on bus transportation, they might go back to the bus transportation location to find the Skyliner. And I've actually talked to people in the parks before. They're like, where's the Skyliner? And I'm like,
goodness.
oh no, sorry, you're gonna go back this way.
So, it came from Canada. Like,
Yeah,
where is it?
it?
Like,
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, just knowing where your transportation is going to be, I think, is really crucial, because you don't want to just assume and then end up somewhere and have to turn around and go back to where you came from.
Yeah. I didn't even. That's a good one. That's a really, really good one, because I think that's more common than people think.
Yeah. And I think, because we go so frequently, we know where International Gateway is. We talk about it as if it's just like a buzzword, but it is over, it's between, what is it?
UK and like France or something like that, I think.
Yeah. So it's right over there, and it's kind of in the middle of,
It's kind of
Showcase.
it's almost inconspicuous, because you can't, like, you see the Skyliners go up into the air, but you don't see where it's coming from. So when you're walking by, you're like, oh, that's cool, but where is it?
Yeah. So just knowing that those
Backstage,
locations, those are in two different locations. So
Yeah. That's good.
Jordan, what do you got?
I'm going to move to something that I might be able to connect a couple things here, but some mini golf or impromptu extracurriculars. So, I mean, maybe they're extracurricular activities.
Welcome to the Disney School of Vacations.
They I mean, obviously, I think we're talking about things that are surprises, right? So it's like, it's probably not much of a surprise if you're planning on going to do something like mini golf, right? Or working it in on like an off day or something. But if it's like, hey, we should go do something like, hey, I heard we can go to Typhoon Lagoon early, right when we get there, our first day. And so it's like, you're doing an impromptu water park day to kick off your vacation at Disney World, or some of these other additional experiences that maybe you weren't planning on. Again, that's adding a lot of steps. Again, a water park is basically a whole other theme park.
Yeah.
You're going to a whole other theme park day or whatever. So,
and I think too that people are doing it on their off day typically. So it's not an off day if you're spending the day at the water park. And then also sometimes
and waiting in lines.
And people are like, it's our off day, let's go do miniature golf.
And I don't know about you guys, but I feel like sometimes now. So I'm going to merge into another one of the ones that I have here. So I'm cheating a little bit, but I feel like
cheater.
Yeah, I'll take it. I'm a cheater. But I think no, I'm not a cheater. Let me just walk back on that.
I'll take it. I'm a cheater.
No, but I feel like wait times too, how they might differ. Like you see a wait time for, a popular ride that says maybe 35 minutes, and you're like, oh, let's go to Rock and Roller Coaster. It says 35 minutes. By the time you get there, it's like 75 minutes.
You're
and
like in
you're
boxes.
okay, never mind. And then you go back to
so
Star Wars Land. Yeah,
that happens so often. Oh my gosh.
Right, adds extra steps when you're like, oh, we were planning on going to this one. We just walked from one side of the park to this side. oh, the wait time's a lot longer than it showed. Let's go back to the area where we just were. So you're adding a ton of
Yes.
extra steps
Totally.
instead of
Totally.
either just standing in line or waiting it out, or just trying another ride in that area. So it's just
Yeah. Yeah. The ride wait time either goes up or it like breaks down, like Rise of the Resistance. It happens
Yes.
all the time.
All the time.
all the time.
That's
So,
one of my things was strategy, like making sure you
Mm-hmm.
have priorities of like sometimes, okay, so we go to the parks often. Our kids are 4 as of yesterday, 4 and 7. And with that being said, they have their favorites. They have their things that they like. And a lot of times it's like we can't get through like a half day because everyone has like 5 or 6 things they want to do. So sometimes I'll have to say to the kids, pick 2 things. What are the 2 things you have to do today? And that kind of helps us prioritize our park movement, right? Like where
Yeah.
we're going to go at different times. And sometimes you just have to like throw out the whole like waiting thing. Like, you know what, we're going to like the kids, I know it's 35 minutes for Dumbo, but like that's what she said she wanted to do. So we're going to wait 35 minutes and then we'll move on. We know that that's ridiculous, but that's what we're going to do. So I think having priorities for the family really helps you to make sure that you're not doing that. You see these reels sometimes of Disney goers of like, this is what my dad did at the park. And it like shows them like going like this. I also think that that's why you need to have a really good travel agent, because having
Yes.
a travel agent like Steven that can coach you to be able to make the most of your day, not only just from all the ins and outs of the pre-planning, but also when you're there to really maximize your time.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And both of you touched upon this because this was also on my list. Just literally walking across the park to get from one ride to the next. Because it's easy to walk off Tron and be like, all right, what's the next good ride that we're gonna ride on? Like we're on a ride high. What's the next
Yeah.
next one that we can get another ride high on? Let's go to Big
go to
Thunder Mountain.
Tiana. Yeah.
Let's go to Tiana's. Yeah, exactly. Or you just got off
Which is on the
of
complete opposite
Guardians.
side of the park.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
just got off Guardians and you're like, let's go to Remy's,
Yep. Totally. Yeah.
And before you know it, you walked an extra mile and you're like, what, how did that happen?
Yes.
And then, what happens is you end up on Thunder Mountain and the ride wait was supposed to be 15 minutes, but then you get there and it's like 45 minutes now. And you're like, well,
Yep.
why don't we just go back to Tomorrowland and see what else we can find, right?
Yes.
Yep.
So,
All the time.
great points.
Yeah.
Really
So
great points.
I brought that up, like the wait times there, because again, I think it's easy to, like you said, it's a day off, maybe even at the water parks or whatever, but you're still waiting in line. You're still doing the same sort of thing. It's like, I'm going to go on this big ride over here, and you get the ride high, and then you walk to the clear end of the other side of the park and end up just kind of bouncing all over the place. So, on a day where you thought maybe you were going to have a day off, you're still adding in a ton of steps, a ton of walking,
Yes.
and a ton of waiting.
Totally. I think if I were to add on top of that, I would add ending your park day in the back of the park.
Mm.
So, for example, let's go back to like Big Thunder Mountain. Let's say
Okay.
it's after the fireworks, it's close to park and closing time, and you're on Big Thunder Mountain. You get off, and you're starting to feel a little tired, but you don't realize that you have to walk from the back of Magic Kingdom all the way to the front to get to the bus to get back to your hotel. So like that extra walking, especially at the end of the day when you're already tired, maybe when the kids are already extra tired, everyone's like, I want to be back home now, right?
Yes.
So that just adds that extra time of walking.
Yeah.
Good
For
point.
sure.
Yeah, and I think the only exception to that would be like EPCOT and International Gateway, only if you're staying on like a Skyliner resort or an EPCOT resort.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you're an American Adventure, you'd have to walk around World Showcase, get to the front of the park, and then get back to your room. Right? So,
Yeah, which there's always that little bit of relief too when you are staying at a Skyliner resort and you're like, oh man, like I don't have to make that whole trek all the way to the front, or even just kind of like wrestle through the crowds or whatever. But it's just, it's half the distance basically, right? So
yeah,
that's
exactly.
why you should book through Steven and stay at a Skyliner.
There you go.
Yeah,
That's it. Cool. I think we go back to Whitney at this point.
Okay. This kind of plays in with what we were just talking about is as a parent, right? A lot of times what would happen is like, number one, I would wait until I've learned my lesson. I don't do this anymore, but I would wait till the last minute to feed the kids. Oh, you're hungry? Like, I'm hangry. I want food now. And you're like, okay, where's food? Like, where's food? And you're like, Flame Tree Barbecue's right here. And they're like, no, I don't want that. I want an Uncrustable. And you're like searching the app trying to find an Uncrustable to pay $8 for an Uncrustable when you should have just like stopped and grabbed one when you were like walking by. So I think thinking ahead, because I know that there was literally that happened to us. And I like walked across the park to go get an Uncrustable for $8 to bring it back to him so that he had something to eat. So I think like I said, I don't do that anymore. I always make sure that I'm like feeding them a little bit earlier than normal. And I always like make sure that I'm booking my mobile orders way in advance, like at lunch I'm booking dinner. So I know kind of where we're going to end up and prepare the kids. They're like, hey, what do you want? Do you want chicken? You know, so I say all that because if you let your kids just like get really hungry for dinner or lunch, now you're like trying to ask everyone what they want and everyone wants different things. And you're trying to figure out we're here, but there's no food here. So I think that it's just really important to make sure that, because I think that that's so easy to just like, okay, you want this, let's just go pick those up real quick. And it's not just let's go pick those up real quick. It's like, it's going to take you an hour.
It's a whole trip.
Yeah.
That is
so
your trip.
My parents always laugh at me because I'm literally at lunch like, okay, so what does everyone want for dinner? Like, we're going to talk about it right now. We're all sitting down. Okay, you want this? Okay, we're going to mobile order. Here we go. All right, it's all coming up at 5:15. We're good. Okay, we're going to end up there. So we all know kind of that's the goal. Everyone's already ordered. So anyways, that's another like going back and forth with stuff.
Yeah, I think you could resolve all of that if you just go during the Flower and Garden Festival when they're giving out Uncrustables for free.
That's true. Did you know that?
Yeah,
we both had an Uncrustable the other day. It was delicious.
So just book for the spring. Just book your Disney World trip for the spring.
Save
and
your $8.
Save your $8 and save the steps.
Yeah, no, but I think the other thing that, I mean, just for a parent tip, like, I know that people are going to bring snacks, but I always have like an extra PB&J on me. Like, I always
smart.
Either it's an Uncrustable or like go to Walmart or Target in the area of Disney and like get a package of Uncrustables. I don't care if you're healthy. Like, trust me, it'll be worth it. Just like pack it in your purse. Someone's hungry, just here you go. I know it's weird. You open up the bag and you eat it. Like you know. So that's my pro tip.
How about this? Let's see. Jordan, why don't you give me, I don't know, can you quickly run through whatever is left on your list? I don't know how many do you have left?
Yeah, I don't know either. I'm bad at math, but I've got a few. And I can run through them for sure. So kind of going back to some of the things that I was saying earlier on, or even just, my first one. Sometimes you need something out of the lobby or you need something out of the store, or this is probably less of a problem now, especially with Magic Bands, but you need something from the front desk real quick. And you need to retrieve stuff at the lobby. So running back to the lobby and then going, back, it's almost, I guess, in the same vein of leaving something in your room. But retrieving stuff from the lobby, extra steps. And then for those who are maybe staying with a group, maybe this is TMI, I don't care, it's a podcast, we're putting it out there. Using the lobby bathroom, as a roommate, if you decide that you would prefer for some of your, I don't know,
in-laws?
Private times or in-laws or whatever.
In-laws tonight.
To be utilizing the lobby bathroom instead of using everyone using the same bathroom, both at night or in the morning. Maybe that's a pro tip. I don't know, but utilizing a lobby bathroom,
does, ladies and gentlemen. Not for his family.
Yeah.
But
So hey, if you want to meet someone from Mouse Minutes, just AM, PM, go to the bathrooms. No, but utilizing the lobby bathroom.
With Jordan Gandara.
Yeah.
If you want to meet someone from Mouse Minutes, golly. Hey, nice shoes over there, Mouse Minutes.
Yeah, we'll leave that one there. I don't know. Maybe that tip stinks. Let's see.
Good one.
And then in the same spirit, roaming around the resort. So I have I wouldn't say a habit, but I thoroughly enjoy resorts. That's something that I've shared a lot on our podcast. And part of that is being able to enjoy the grounds and enjoy the resort. And so I say roaming around the resort, maybe strolling around the resort, or doing another one of my points was early morning runs, even late night runs. But I do that on most trips. I have done that on most trips. And so I really enjoy that. Some people don't like exercising on vacation. And I don't know. I feel like for me, and maybe, we're on the right podcast for it, but I think that that is a good way of being able to roam around the resort, but also just kind of keep your legs loose, maybe do a little bit of a warm up for the parks in the morning. But I love roaming around the resorts, especially when there's not a lot of people out and about.
Can I piggyback on that? Because
Yeah.
just roaming in general, we met up with a friend this weekend, and Jordan likes to roam, period, full stop. So sometimes Whitney has to go find him. He lets some sneaky ways to get extra steps. I'm like, where did he go? Like, it's just us. Like, could he possibly have gone? And I'm like walking around her with Christina, and she's like, where did Jordan go? I'm like, I don't know. I don't even care anymore. Like, let's just keep moving. He'll call us if he gets lost.
You need to make a whole video series called like Jordan's Adventures without Whitney. Yeah, just roaming.
And then me just like going on rides by myself because I'm just like, at this point, it's been 14 years that 15 years we've been together. I'm like,
still
whatever.
can't find him.
Guess it's a recurring theme in my life. I don't know. And then another one is park hopping. So,
Oh yes.
And then again, maybe it's impromptu park hopping. It's like, you know what? Are we done here? Have we done all the things that we wanted to do at this park? And so a lot of times we'll end up just running from Magic Kingdom over to EPCOT, or utilizing the Skyliner if we're at Hollywood Studios, and then jumping on the Skyliner and then running over to EPCOT and then maybe back. So it's just one of those things where it's like the extra steps of park hopping can add a lot, especially when you're like, again, we kind of think about budgeting. A lot of times we don't think about it. We're like, we're done here.
Let's go.
Let's just go to EPCOT, when maybe we can still enjoy a lot of stuff at the park that we're at. And I don't know. But
And even I will piggyback on that, because I think people also assume that like at Disneyland it's just right across the street. And yes, it's just right across the street. But if you're in Toontown and you're going to Cars Land, like that's a long walk. So sometimes people are just like trying to go back and forth. And although I think hoppers are crucial for Disneyland, that's a whole nother thing. You have to still be strategic about how much you're hopping back and forth.
There used to be a day when Lightning Lane was not Lightning Lane. It was called Fast Pass. It wasn't that long ago. There used to be a day when Fast Pass was a paper ticket, and you had to go to the ride, get your paper ticket, and then go about your day, because you can't ride the Fast Pass, or you can't get in the Fast Pass line for another few hours. Yep. So what I would do at Disneyland was get my Fast Pass for Space Mountain, hop over to DCA to get on, like, I don't know, Radiator Springs Racers and Cars Land, and then hop back over to Disneyland so I can get back on Space Mountain. Like, that was an easy 30,000 steps in the day. Yeah. Easy. Yeah. And that's just two parks, right?
Right.
But then
and they're close together. Everyone always says, like, they're right across the street. And yes, they are. They're literally, but the parks are huge. So if you're going from one end to the other end, that's not a small distance.
Totally. Yeah. So much going on.
And then I'll add, I think this might be my last one, but, there's a lot of hard floors in the rooms. A lot of the rooms, depending again on which resort you're staying at, they're hard floors. And so if you're one who doesn't bring like slippers or something like that in the room, you're going from a day where your feet are really tired walking the parks, maybe again, depending on how many days you are into your trip, to standing on hard floors. I've found myself being, kind of surprised with, man, my feet are really tired, and walking around just in my room, my feet are really tired. And so that does, I feel like, take a toll. The same thing with the water parks. is that the water parks are concrete. And
Right.
you're not allowed to wear, I know people will wear water socks, but even if or water shoes, if you're wearing water shoes, a lot of rides you still, or a lot of slides, you still have to take them off. And so a lot of times you just kind of kick them off and leave them by your chair,
So you're
your
grounding all
beach chair.
day.
So you're grounding all
You're-
day on the concrete. There's a lot of concrete to be walked on. And so,
Yeah, and you fly in, you go to the water parks on your first day, landing at Disney World, and then you do a full week at Disney. Like that's also a lot. Walking on concrete and then walking all day in the parks and then going back to your room on the hardwood floor. That's a lot on the feet for sure.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. I guess I said that was my last one, but the true last one is also shopping. So a lot of shopping, like you mentioned, even if you end your day, let's say you're in Magic Kingdom and you end your day at Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, and you're in the back of the park and you're walking all the way to the front of the park and you're like, you know what, let's just stop through the shops, get carried away. You end up just kind of roaming through the shops for an hour as the park is still open but not open. And or even just going to or adding on Disney Springs, there's just so many steps. I think I've actually heard you mention that recently. Was, you know, a lot of people a lot of times don't think about Disney Springs. They do it on an off day, but there's a lot of walking.
park.
It's basically is the same size as a park. I think you mentioned from one side to the other. Is it over a mile or about a mile?
Something like that. Yeah, I can't remember the number off the top of my head. I can tell you that Disney Springs is something like the size of, I think it's like the size of Disneyland in California. Like it's
Okay.
Yeah.
massive.
Yeah,
It's massive.
yeah. So there's a lot of walking at Disney World.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Especially like you said, you know, doing all that shopping on your on
Yeah.
your quote unquote off day, where you're really getting like 20,000 steps in the day, and then you're going back to Magic Kingdom and doing another 30,000 steps. Like
Right.
it's not really an off day if you're doing that, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me piggyback on that one because this is one of mine, is the shopping thing. Because as a parent, sorry to always bring into that, but as a parent, sometimes I'll say, and I literally did this today. We were at a theme park. I won't say what theme park it was because it was not Disney, but we were at a theme park today, and I said,
How very
I
dare you?
know. Don't
not
worry,
ideal.
Reel's coming soon
Not
about
ideal.
that. But we were at a theme park and he saw something he really wanted to spend his money on. And I said, if you still like that, by the end of the day, we'll come back and get it.
This is our son too, by the way, not me.
Oh,
If you still want that,
Yes.
Jordan husband,
Okay.
by
I
the end
was
of
a
the day,
chaperone.
okay.
Okay, I was
Whitney
a
wife.
chaperone. And so he really wanted this lion. And I said, if you really want that, by the end of the day, we'll come back and get it. Well, guess where it was? And I didn't know that because I don't know this park. It was at the back of the park. So we were kind of snaked around back up at the front. And he's like, I still just want that lion. I'm like, of course you do. So I had to go all the way back. So I say that because I'm like, parents, like, I know you want them to spend like their money on like the best thing that they could possibly find, but it might just be worth it to just like let them get it. Like, just like let them get it
Oh
and
my
move
God.
on. So that was my other one.
that's a big one.
My
This-
only other one was the bathrooms
Okay.
because of the kids with the bathrooms. Like, you know, sometimes they're not, like, it happens a lot where, like, we're in Mexico and someone has to go to the bathroom. Like, the bathrooms aren't very close in Mexico.
no, that's right.
Mexico Pavilion.
Mexico Pavilion. So,
No,
Yeah. Not the country of Mexico.
not the country of Mexico.
that's really far from Disneyland, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of people end up doing it, you know, flying to Mexico, back to Disneyland or Disney World.
Anyways, so, you know, we don't have to like ask our kids every time we pass the bathroom, but I do try to like, hey, bathroom's right here. Anyone? Okay, let's move on. Or, okay, let's just try.
Yeah.
Because our kids are little. So anyways, that's another one that seems to like, you know, it's just so convenient that it's like, we just passed a bathroom and then like
It always
You know,
happens that way.
in an
doesn't it?
area where there's no bathroom and they're like, I
Yeah.
have to go so bad. And I'm like, of course you do.
This wasn't on my list, but it was kind of like a little bonus that I wanted to add.
Because you
Of,
found
like-
it crinkled up in our
Yeah,
closet.
right here. Yeah, it's the treasure map. So, you know, you can do
Yeah.
some really fun little treasure hunts in Adventureland, right? And Magic Kingdom. And so I think they have like 6 or, you know, maybe 8 different maps that you can do. And so for those who maybe aren't watching the video, I'm holding up a map to one of these treasure hunts, which is just really fun. You know, my son and I love doing them. And again, that's a lot of added steps. It's not an attraction, but the attraction, the event itself, or the experience itself rather, is not running, but kind of going around Adventureland and finding these different clues to find the treasure. And so again, it's a fun little kind of like side mission, but it is a fun way, but it definitely adds on extra steps for sure, especially if you're doing multiple treasure hunts.
For sure. Or like the Epcot kid stops.
Totally.
Yeah.
Or like, or the ones where you have to like spot the characters around World Showcase.
Yeah, all those little hunts. And they even have them
bounty hunting in Batu.
We did the what was it? The hidden Mickeys at Coronado Springs with you guys, or was that what it was?
Right, and you walk across the entire resort. That's a big
all those
resort.
Little, like fun things that you do.
Yeah,
they're just you have to take that into account. So
totally,
love that.
Totally. This has been a ridiculously like fruitful conversation because we just rattled off like this must be 20 or 30 tips, but all of these add up in the end, right? Like Jordan, you were saying, budgeting your energy and also budgeting your time too. So not only are you saving yourself the energy of walking and standing all day, you're also saving some time so you can enjoy the parks a little bit more with your loved ones. So anyways, let's go through these. So some more like obvious ones would be hopping in line for a ride during peak hours. So, expecting to be able to ride Guardians in the middle of the day. You can always save time by making sure to look at the My Disney Experience app to see what time of the day the wait time is going to be lower. Or, you can hop in line early in the morning for that ride that you really want to do. You can grab a lightning lane if you really want to, or you can hop in line at the end of the day, usually when lines tend to die down. So that's one. Another is using Disney transportation during peak hours. I think, Whitney, you had touched upon this a little bit, but the big one I'm thinking of is at the end of the day at Epcot when Luminous or whatever the fireworks show at Epcot is done, everyone goes out the park to the bus or they go out to the Skyliner, and the line for the Skyliner is really long. Now, granted, it moves quickly, but it's seeing that long line, getting in that long line, standing up the ramp to get in, like all of that adds up mentally and physically to feel a little extra taxing on the body.
Yes, and there's nothing like that walk from Magic Kingdom up to the monorail where they like put you up a giant hill.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Especially pushing a stroller with two sleeping children. You're like, ugh.
And it's the heat of the day, especially like you mentioned, if you have a stroller and you've got a ton of, gifts or souvenirs and just stuff from the day that you have to collect out of the stroller at the end of the day. You get to see, the best of humanity sometimes in those moments.
Your true self really comes out, I could tell.
Yeah, and everyone's just like, stoked on, man, we just had the best day ever. I mean, I guess it's not always like that.
And then you see the dad like, get all this stuff out.
God, stop.
Standing in line waiting for the parade or fireworks. So a lot of people, when they wait for, let's say, the fireworks at Magic Kingdom, they're usually standing when really they could be technically sitting, right? They're going to be some people wait, an hour to an hour and a half for the fireworks to start. Yeah. And if they're standing for an hour and a half, you might as well be waiting in line to ride Rise of the Resistance, because sometimes that line is that long.
Yeah.
Totally.
So save your feet and sit down because, you will save energy and you'll make your body happy.
Yeah, and it's probably not dirty on the ground because it's Disney.
I mean, probably, bring a towel.
Everything's clean.
Use your Disney store bag and sit on that.
There you go. I love it.
Last one is if you drive to the parks, please remember to use your My Disney Experience app to mark where your car is parked.
Oh, good one.
I fall a victim to this several times in the last few months. Like you imagine it's at the end of the day, your feet are tired, you finished the last ride at the back of the parks, you walk all the way to the front and you get to the parking lot. And this is worse from Magic Kingdom because you got to go to the Ticket and Transportation Center. You get back and you're like, where did I park in Villains or Heroes?
Yeah. Yes, I've made that mistake before where I went to the wrong side and it was like, no, you're in Simba, not Scar. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah. So that, again, demoralizing, but also that extra walking is just so much.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Brutal.
For sure. So, yeah, there you have it. Our list of 10-ish.
10-ish plus. Yeah.
Sneaky ways you're getting extra steps at Disney World. Jordan and Whitney, where can we find you? Where can we listen to you?
Well, you can find us on Instagram at Mouse Minutes Podcast. Hop on over there and join in on the conversation.
And you can listen to our podcast on Apple Podcast or Spotify. We release a new episode every Wednesday morning at 7:17 a.m. And it's a short form podcast. We like to keep it in 10 minutes or less, or your podcast is free. But we like to keep them bite-sized episodes. So this has been a treat because it's been like, I don't know, 10 of our episodes. Or I guess 5. Yeah, I'm not good at math, but yeah.
Math is math. Math is
Yeah.
math. And you guys, what do you guys do again? You grade Disney items and Disney attractions on a classical grading scale, right? It's a great concept. So yeah, you definitely need to go out and listen to Mouse Minutes podcast. It's such a fun podcast to listen to.
Yeah, it's grading Disney experiences. So it's anything from resorts to attractions to shows
To a single drink.
to or a treat.
Or dessert. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then we also just released a book.
An autograph book.
An autograph. Yeah, there is a chance if you do see us in the parks, sometimes we like to give one out maybe once a day or something like that. So
that's awesome.
yeah, if you see us in the parks, don't be shy. We'd love to be able to give one away.
Yeah.
Love it. All right, I will make sure to put all of that information into the show notes so it's easy to find. Jordan and Whitney, thank you so much for joining me again. This was so fun.
Thank you
For having us.
Yeah, we love listening to your show, and of course, you and Mel and you guys are amazing people. So thank you so much for having us on, Stephen.
We love being able to support you and, promote you as much as we can.
Thank you. You guys are amazing people too. Thank you.
We love you.
Thank you.
That's all for today's episode. Clearly, as we learned from today, a Disney World vacation can mean walking 15, 20,000 steps, maybe even more per day that you're in the parks. And if your body's not physically prepared for that, it'll pay the price in soreness, pain, exhaustion, and maybe even injury. So I've developed a walking challenge that starts with a gentle stroll and then progresses both in length and intensity so that you'll be able to conquer the Disney parks without burnout. On this challenge, every day for 30 days, you'll be guided through it with your walking challenge for the day, an inspirational Disney quote, and even a PDF worksheet to track your progress. You will be amazed at how much stronger and more confident you'll feel at the end of this challenge. Now, to participate in this challenge, go ahead and head over to fitforthemagic.com/30, that's 30, to sign up for that 30-day walking challenge. Now, I want to turn it over to you. What is the most number of steps that you've done at Disney World or even Disneyland? Let me know in the comments. If you love what you hear and you want to learn more, I encourage you to head over to fitforthemagic.com where you can find your free guide, 15 must-have items for a pain-free Disney trip. And if you enjoy this show, please make sure to share it with anyone that might benefit from it. And of course, please leave a rating or review in your favorite podcast app if you enjoyed the show. This helps me tremendously as I move forward with more episodes to come. I hope you will tune in to learn more about how to have a pain-free, soreness-free, and exhaustion-free vacation so that you can make magical memories with your loved ones.